Good evening, my fellow fiends, and welcome to the 26th night of 31 Nights of Halloween, The Revenge. For the 26th night, we are returning to Hammer Horror once more because this year a wonderful thing happened. They decided once a month to release beautiful limited editions of their many titles, and I hear this is only the tip of the iceberg, so oh my Mila, paint me very excited. Now when I say limited editions, it's much more than what you think. I have been absolutely amazed at the work they've put into these beauties. Let's take a look. So first up, released in 1955, is Quatermass Experiment. The name dropped the E as it was Hammer's first X-rated movie. Britain's X rating was not the same as America's X, nowhere near as naughty, based on a BBC serial that was filmed live. Unfortunately, only the first 2 episodes exist, but this isn't a typical BBC losing episode story. Only the first 2 were ever recorded. It was written by Nigel Neal. Do you remember that name? The start of my obsession started here. The story of a rocket returned to Earth with only 1 of 3 astronauts still remaining inside. And not only that, the astronauts brought something back with them. It's black and white, shot beautifully, and a fantastic story. Right, let's take a look at this set. How gorgeous is that outside? And that's not all. Look at this lovely new art they've made for the front. It's beautiful, isn't it? Just stare at that for a minute. They're taking all the detail. And on the back, we've got the old American cover. Well, the poster art they had for it. Because it was called The Creeping Unknown in America. I believe the edit is slightly different. We'll get into that in a minute. And this is all the goodies you get with it. So you get old, we've got some old lobby cards. Quite a few there, chunky buggers. Nice. Poster, I believe it's got the French on one side, the English on the other. I'm not going to try and open that out. And look, this is the actual comic from the Hammer magazine back in the day. It's just been reprinted. I believe at the front here it should say the date, 9th of June 1977. Nice. And then we get these amazing books. They've all got these books and they are so chunky and they go for everything, the script differences. Obviously because we haven't got the episodes anymore, so it tells you the differences between what happened in the story. There's loads of awesome stuff. Such a good read. Enjoyed every minute of this. And now look, we'll look at the discs. Now this is ridiculous. On one side you get really cool artwork. Look how much this folds out. It just goes on and on. Look, the rocket in the background there. There's the surviving astronaut. Gone a bit funny. And we look at the other side. And look, so we've got the English version in widescreen and full screen. That's what was originally filmed in. Second disc is the American Creeping Unknown, which is a slightly different edit and slightly different ratio. If you look, it is 166 in the UK and 185 in America. Then that's the same too on Blu-ray because the other's 4K. And then look, the first 2 episodes of the original Quatermass Experiment and a couple of extras. How awesome is that? So the wealth of extras on these discs just had me drooling. They very much remind me of the classic Doctor Who collections on Blu-ray. More on that next month. As in, the worth of content is remarkable, and I'm not talking fluff pieces here, I'm talking genuinely interesting documentaries, interviews, and the amount of commentaries is staggering. I think there's like 7 of them, and all unique, coming from different angles. The writers and directors, film historians, Hammer historians, even the mighty Toby Haddock of the, as previously spoken about, Doctor Who collections. He does pop up. Now, growing up in Britain with a liking for these things, Quatermass is a bit like James Bond and Doctor Who. It kind of depends when you were born. So for me, Andrew Keir of Quatermass in the Pit will always be my number 1. But they are all awesome. Isn't there something like 6 of them now, if you include the most recent live remake of the first series that they did? Surprise, surprise, that was done by Mark Gatiss. Right, next up, the official sequel, because there was a kind of unofficial sequel called X the Unknown, I believe, that didn't have Quatermass in, but of course it's Quatermass 2 from 1957, named after the rocket in the story. Though it's not about going into space this time, it's about something that's already here and been here for some time, with hints of paranoia in the same vein of 1984, and I think there may be a reason for that. Once again, based on a BBC TV serial, and thankfully all 6 episodes still exist. Once again, the screenplay is by Nigel Neal, which we will get back to in a moment, as yeah, the dude is amazing and I'm obsessed. So here's the gorgeous cover, just look at that, oh my god. Yeah, beautiful. They've done such a good job, haven't they? And again, there we've got the old American poster art, Enemy from Space, as it was called there. Now, there's no different in the edits between this and the American and the English version this time, apart from the screen ratio. But they're basically the same film. They just like to change the name because they're weird. So get a poster, I'm not unfolding that. I'm a lazy bastard, aren't I? Got these are the American lobby cards for this set, whereas the English lobby cards for Quatermass 1, which is quite cool. And then we've got the comic again, and again it should say the year they did this, so 23rd of August 1978. And that's just a reprint of it. How cool is that? I love all this shit. And again, we've got another book which goes into so much stuff. It really does. There's such good reads. A lot with the old scripts and the different versions of scripts and like what the BBFC tried to get them to cut out. All them shenanigans. And then we look at the box again. Again, and these open up really far. Like the cool, like, domey places. It goes on forever, doesn't it? Gorgeous. Love it. And we look at the discs again. So we have got the 4K of the widescreen and the full screen, which they filmed it in. And it's worth doing the full screen because it cuts stuff out on the widescreen versions. Enemy of Space on 4K. And then you've got the 2 versions again on Blu-ray, and they do have extras on. But look, we have got the complete Quatermass Series 2, BBC Series 2, like all 6 episodes. Amazing. I'm glad at least they recorded all those. Right, to say I ended up going down a rabbit hole would be an understatement. I mean, the extras tell you so much about the movie and its connections to the original series, with great anecdotes about the star, his toupee, and his abundant need for coffee that may not have been coffee. And they worked out by the end. But what both these 2 sets are absolute odes to and a celebration of Nigel Neal. It's all about this wonderfully interesting man of contradictions. I could not believe I'd actually adored a lot of his work and not realised or made the connection. There was one other I didn't even know existed, but now I know different. So he did a version of 1984 for the BBC with Peter Cushing, and he made that between Quatermass 1 and Quatermass 2, which makes sense why Quatermass 2 is a bit more like that. The BFI have got a version, so we're bloody getting that. He also did Quatermass in the Pit for the BBC and Hammer. He did Quatermass 4, The Conclusion, in the 70s, but that wasn't for BBC or Hammer. He did the Stone Tapes, which I've always heard about. It's meant to be amazing. I will soon rectify soon. Again, the mighty BFI. He did The Woman in Black. Can you remember that bloody scary thing? And the thing I completely forgot, he did Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, my favourite Halloween film. Now, next up, and this is the big one, it's Curse of Frankenstein. So this was released in 1957. This is Hammer's first colour horror and also their first gothic horror. I think it might have been the first colour horror in Britain as well. It's Peter Cushing's and Christopher Lee's first Hammer film. There are so many firsts, it's insane. This is a very important movie and what sets Hammer on its path of gothic horror. Quatermass started them down the X-rating route, the beginning of their transition, and Frankenstein completed that transition with full, beautiful colour gothic. So we will slut over the box set again. Look at this. Isn't that gorgeous with Peter Cushing there, Christopher Lee as the monster. Though the important thing to know about this version of Frankenstein is it's all about Frankenstein, not the monster. The monster's only at the end. The real monster is Frankenstein. He's an absolute wanker in this film, and Peter Cushing plays him so well. Fucking love it. And now going for all the extra stuff, this might go higher up my list actually. I'm going to have to do another one when more sets are out. So we've got the old lobby cards. They are a bit sexy. An amazing poster. They're not going to ravel because I'm going to end up ripping these one of these days. Again, we've got the comic. Look at the cover. Sorry, we're adults. It's a graphic novel, isn't it, darlings? So this was from December 1976. Look at that. Oh. Drooling. Now, interestingly, this is the Books of Frankenstein Volume 1. So we're definitely getting more Frankenstein films in this set. But I don't know which ones, because I know there's like legality involved. But they have said that they're speaking to all these people, so hopefully, even though other people have got them now, they can still do limited sets for them, like we've seen with these. Some are a bit different, I've seen, like Scars of Dracula, someone else is doing. Now look at this. Look how gorgeous that is. It's amazing, isn't it? And look, this one goes out even further. There's Paul, bless him. And I think that's the maid over there, gets pregnant. So it's making love in different ways, and that's the one he's going to marry. And there's what Frankenstein's monster was in. So this has actually got 6 discs, not 5, so it's even bigger than the others. So again, we've got the widescreen and we've got the full screen. We've got the American widescreen that used to be missing the eyeball scene, but it's back in there now. We've got both the Blu-rays. And we've got a 5th disc full of extras, and there's extras on 1 and 2 as well. And then, now this is the important thing, this is only in this limited edition. When they do a smaller version later, it won't include this disc. This is important, guys. Flesh and Blood. It's over 2 hours and 25 minutes of Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing narrating the history of Hammer. And then Mr. Cushing and Mr. Lee is a 45-minute behind the scene of that. Now, this is Peter Cushing's last thing he ever did for Hammer. He's quite old in it, and it's just gorgeous. I ended up crying watching it because how beautiful him and Christopher Lee are together. They always were. There's also outtakes for the main mistakes, and it has tales of the Tales of Frankenstein, which is the pilot of a TV series that never happened. And it also has a commentary to that, and an extra, and a documentary as well. So it's brilliant. And on top of that, we got all these extras, just fucking loads, and all the commentaries. I don't go on enough about all the commentaries. There's so many commentaries, like the other one's got 7. Like, can you believe that? 7. And yeah, I've listened to them all because I'm terrible. There's all this lot as well. Honestly, keep going for fucking days, initially me. But like, how amazing is that set? I just can't believe it. And that 2 hours and 25 minutes on that last disc is just, and then the 45 minutes that made me cry. Just seeing Peter Cushing when he's old, and just seeing how gorgeous they are together, and how good Christopher Lee is with him, especially towards the end. It's absolutely beautiful. They had a beautiful relationship. Let's go, we'll look at the cover one more time because it's gorgeous. So this is the last of the big ones this year. We will be getting some more big ones next year. And I did miss the first one out, but I have rectified it. I am getting the standard version, and that's Cronus the Vampire Killer, or Vampire Hunter. I forget which way around it is. Right, so that's not all they've done. They aren't just releasing their horrors. Excitingly, they're also releasing their lesser-known titles. These are much smaller collections, but interesting enough on their own merits. And here's a couple. There's The Man in Black, and Four-Sided Triangle. So this is Hammer's first attempt at a Frankenstein-esque sci-fi / horror light story. 2 guys create a machine that can duplicate anything. They're both in love with the same woman. One marries her, the other can't think about being of anyone else, convinces her somehow to go into the duplicator, so he's a perfect copy for himself. Yeah, I know. Yeah, of course, it all turns out well for all. Not. The story is interesting in a couple of ways. During the war, women had become more independent, had agency. Men returning from war obviously tried to put them back where they thought they should be. So you have to go in with that mentality. But it's very interesting. Also directed by Terence Fisher, who will go on to direct Curse of Frankenstein. The ending is almost perfect, but squandered. It's so frustrating. I won't give away why, but yeah, an interesting precursor to what was to come only a couple of years later. So yeah, they're just like little books. You always get a book with them, but not much else. So next up is The Man in Black. This film is so much fun, and yes, it sent me down another rabbit hole. Sid James appears for his first time for Hammer. He's great. He dies in a yoga incident, don't ask. The stepmother and her daughter are amazing. They're gorgeously devious, always smoking and pulling the best expressions and hand motions. They steal every single scene with their gaslighting. We have early elements of the supernatural in a way. It's amazing. So it's a reimagining of a BBC radio show. Yeah, they pilfered the radio before the TV channel a couple of years later, which itself was a remake of an American anthology show. On the extras are 3 episodes of the original American show called Suspense. I hunted for the BBC One version, BBC version, rather, radio version, but it doesn't exist anymore. But of course, how could I have doubted him? Mark Gatiss remade the show and completed 4 seasons, which I found on Audible, and I'm enjoying. But yeah, I really did enjoy this film. It's a bit silly towards the end, but yeah, I think it's just beautiful. I think the acting's great. It's just a laugh. It's very comfortable. A lot of Hammer stuff's like comfy in it. And this early stuff, you know, I didn't even really think about it. They did shit from the 30s, didn't they? I mean, it's like their 90th anniversary coming up. Can you believe it? 90 years. So yes, all I've shown you today came out this year. Hammer for most of this year, and I believe every month next year are releasing these limited edition sets, a mixture of horror, classic, rare and unknowns. It's all very exciting stuff, and I cannot wait to see what they release next. I know what's coming in November, and I have a massive grin on my face because of it, so look forward to checking out that and a couple of others next month as well. So all I have left to say, I hope you did enjoy this episode. A bit different, isn't it? But oh my god, I love box sets and I love Hammer. So like, So good night, my fellow fiends, and see you tomorrow.